There are people who know every voice around them, but have never sat quietly long enough to recognize their own soul. They know what the world expects, they know how to smile when hurting. They know how to survive disappointment without crying in public. But deep inside, there is still a stranger living within them. And this is the hidden tragedy Jesus often spoke about without directly naming it. A man can gain the approval of crowds while remaining lost to himself. The loudest prisons are not made of iron bars. They are made of confusion, fear, comparison, and years of pretending to be someone else just to be loved. Some people spend decades mastering how to impress the world, while never learning how to sit honestly with their own spirit. And the longer a soul lives disconnected from itself, the heavier life quietly becomes. One of the greatest pains a human being can carry is the pain of performing an identity instead of living one. Some people have spent their entire lives becoming what others needed them to be. Strong for everyone, available for everyone, pleasing everyone. But at night, when the room becomes silent and the distractions fade away, they feel an emptiness they cannot explain, because the soul was never created to survive on applause. It was created to live in truth. This is why Jesus constantly pulled people away from crowds before changing their lives. He knew healing begins when a person finally hears themselves again. Sometimes the greatest miracle is not public success, but finally becoming honest about the pain hidden behind the smile you have shown the world for years. There is a hidden aspect in spiritual wisdom that many overlook. Heaven cannot fully introduce you to the world until you stop abandoning yourself. Many people pray for recognition while secretly rejecting who they are. They ask God for purpose while constantly comparing their journey to somebody else's. But what God placed inside you cannot bloom through imitation. Even flowers in a garden do not compete with one another. The rose does not fight to become the sunflower. It simply becomes what heaven designed it to be. And somehow, that alone makes it beautiful. The soul begins to suffer when it spends too much time trying to become a copy instead of embracing the uniqueness heaven already approved. Jesus once asked his disciples, "Who do people say that I am?" But then he asked the deeper question, "Who do you say that I am?" That question was never only about him, it was also about them, because until a person can see truth clearly, they cannot see themselves clearly either. Your understanding of God shapes your understanding of your own worth. If you think God is distant, you will live feeling abandoned. If you think God is angry, you will hide your scars. But when you finally understand His love, something changes inside you. You stop seeing yourself as a mistake and start seeing yourself as someone heaven intentionally formed. You begin to understand that your existence was not accidental, and your life still carries meaning even after every painful thing you have survived. Some of the people listening to this have spent years fighting battles nobody knows about, smiling outside while collapsing inside, carrying childhood wounds into adulthood, pretending to be okay because life never gave them the luxury to fall apart. But listen carefully, surviving is not the same as knowing yourself. Many strong people are emotionally exhausted because they became warriors before they became healed humans, and God never intended your strength to replace your identity. There are people who learned how to endure pain beautifully while secretly forgetting what peace even feels like inside their own hearts. There are versions of yourself that were created by pain and not by truth. The fearful version, the rejected version, the insecure version, the version that constantly apologizes for existing, the version that feels unworthy of love. But hidden beneath all those layers is the person God knew before fear touched your life. The real you existed before betrayal, before heartbreak, before failure, before people spoke death over your confidence. And part of spiritual awakening is allowing God to separate your true identity from the damage life placed on you. Healing often begins the moment you realize your wounds are experiences you carried, not definitions of who you are. Many people think being known means becoming famous, respected, celebrated, or admired. But the deepest form of being known is when heaven recognizes your authenticity. There are people with millions of followers who are still spiritually invisible because they abandoned who they truly are. And then there are quiet souls nobody celebrates publicly, yet heaven speaks their name with honor because they remained faithful to their truth. God is not impressed by performance, He is moved by sincerity. The world may reward image, but heaven always responds to honesty flowing from the deepest parts of the heart. The hidden aspect is this: when you truly know yourself, you stop chasing validation desperately. You stop begging people to choose you. You stop shrinking your soul just to fit into places that never valued your spirit. Self-knowledge brings peace because it ends the war between who you are and who you pretend to be. Some people are tired not because life is hard, but because pretending is exhausting. There is a deep freedom that enters the soul when you no longer wake up feeling pressured to constantly prove your worth to people who were never qualified to define it. Jesus spent time with fishermen, broken women, rejected tax collectors, and ordinary people because he understood something powerful. Wounded people do not need more shame, they need remembrance. Most people have not forgotten God. They have forgotten themselves. They have forgotten the beauty, innocence, and purpose heaven planted inside them before life became painful, before survival hardened them, before disappointment made them cynical, before rejection taught them to hide their hearts from the world out of fear of being hurt again. There is something sacred about finally sitting alone with your thoughts and no longer fearing what you find there. Many people keep themselves constantly distracted because silence reveals wounds they buried years ago. But healing begins when you stop running from yourself. Tears are not weakness. Sometimes tears are the soul washing itself after carrying invisible pain for too long. Some cries are not signs of brokenness at all. They are signs that the heart is finally becoming honest enough to release what it could no longer carry silently. Some of you were loved conditionally your entire life. Loved only when successful, loved only when useful, loved only when strong. And because of that, you started believing your value must be earned. But Jesus never moved that way. He loved people before they changed, before they healed, before they proved themselves. That is why his presence transformed lives, because people finally felt seen beyond their failures. For many hurting souls, being genuinely seen without judgment becomes the beginning of emotional resurrection. A person who knows themselves walks differently, not arrogantly, not proudly, but peacefully. There is a quiet confidence that comes when your identity no longer depends on public opinion. Storms still come, criticism still hurts, rejection still stings, but deep inside, there remains a stability because your soul is no longer rented out to human approval. Such people no longer panic every time they are misunderstood because they have finally found security deeper than applause. The enemy of the soul has always attacked identity first. In the garden, the serpent questioned identity in the wilderness. Satan questioned Jesus' identity, saying, "If you are the Son of God," because confusion weakens people spiritually. A person uncertain of who they are becomes easy to manipulate, easy to control, easy to silence. But when someone truly knows who God created them to be, fear begins losing its grip. The moment truth becomes stronger than insecurity. Chains begin breaking inside the human spirit. There are dreams inside some people that died simply because nobody affirmed them early enough. There are gifts buried under years of criticism. There are gentle souls pretending to be hard because life punished their softness. But God still sees the original version of you. Heaven still remembers who you were before disappointment convinced you to hide, and sometimes restoration is not God creating a new person, but bringing you back to the beautiful self pain tried to erase. Sometimes knowing yourself requires losing environments where you constantly betrayed yourself to stay accepted. Growth can feel lonely because not everyone will understand the new piece you carry. Some people only recognize the broken version of you. They were comfortable when you doubted yourself, comfortable when you stayed small. But healing changes your atmosphere. You begin protecting your spirit differently. You stop volunteering your soul to places that constantly drain your peace and make you question your worth. The beautiful thing about Jesus is that he never approached people as hopeless cases. He spoke to the hidden greatness inside them. He called fearful men into courage. He called rejected people into purpose. He called the weak into destiny. And maybe that is what your soul needs today. Not another reminder of your flaws, but a reminder of the person heaven still believes you can become. Because God often sees possibilities inside people long before they ever see those possibilities within themselves. If you truly know yourself, you will stop measuring your worth by seasons. Bad seasons do not reduce your value. Waiting seasons do not cancel your destiny. Broken seasons do not erase your beauty. Winter does not mean the tree is dead. Some roots grow deeper in silence. Some souls become wiser through suffering. God often does his deepest work in hidden places before revealing the harvest publicly. There are seasons where heaven seems silent, but beneath the surface, your spirit is being strengthened in ways you cannot yet fully understand. And perhaps this is the hidden wisdom Jesus wanted humanity to understand all along. When you finally know yourself through the eyes of God, you become impossible to destroy internally. The world may misunderstand you, people may leave you, doors may close, but your soul remains anchored because you have discovered something greater than approval. truth. And once a person begins living in truth, heaven itself begins to recognize them, not for who they pretended to be, but for who they truly are. And there is no greater freedom than finally becoming the person your soul no longer has to hide from.